Well, how you doing, Red?
I'm doing fine right now.
This is every week, okay, brother? Buckle in.
Yeah. Wow.
You died on that hill. Your career died on that hill, and you were hard-headed. You're the bigger idiot. I didn't even think about it. You thought about it and didn't ask.
That makes me the bigger idiot.
I think so. Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download here in the Bojangles studio, and this is a special holiday.
Hold up.
Christmas edition of the Dale Jr. Download, and we have a guest here. And as usual, our guest segment is presented to you by Ally, and Ally's been giving us this great, or bringing these great guest segments to us all throughout the year, and they've done it again. We're going to talk to Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's in the studio, and Denny's going to talk to us about his year as a podcaster. Man, I've been excited to talk to you about this. Haven't really spoke to you all year about.
Oh, yeah, I need this volume up, though.
The connection between you and your therapist matters. That's why Alma Focus.
In this past season, Denny fined by NASCAR, NASCAR acknowledging Denny as one of the 75 greatest drivers, Chase Elliott wrecking DH, Noah Gragson getting punched, Coach Gibbs crashed the pod to have Denny sign his contract extension and share a funny story about jet skis from back in the day. Michael McDowell stopped by after proving Denny wrong. William Byron stopped by after winning the Actions Detrimental Bracket Challenge.
Man, about to go to Chinese
and even
wall.
Denny's mom paid a visit to the podcast. Plus plenty of Ross Chastain talk and a whole lot more. Enjoy.
This is the kickoff for Fox. I saw a lot of people.
I think we made change on this podcast.
We did. Come on, someone at Fox, you got to admit it. They got rid of my goatee.
They did.
They
went back to the less pronounced,
They did, and I
softer look.
I need to see. Did they adjust everyone's? Did they tone everyone's face down slightly?
I think last year, I think the sketches were a little less pronounced. You didn't have a goatee. The skin tones were a little softer. And I think that's what they went back to. I could be wrong, but I think they changed it for everybody, not just you.
So, elephant in the room, I guess.
What people want to know.
Yeah, I guess you guys have hung on long enough. So at the end of the race, me and Ross got into it.
It's the best of.
Basically, here's the thing, right? Is that I got to the end of the race. I saw he was on the outside of me. I went into turn one with the mindset that I'm going to try to get the best finish that I can get. I'm on two tires, and I go into turn one. And while I even went shallow on speed, my car plowed. I mean, what it means is I turned the wheel, and the front tires just were going straight. And they were calling the one car on the outside. So at that point, I knew that I was screwed. I was about to go backwards. I had all the four tire cars on my ass. They were going to pass me, or more than likely in the next corner. If they didn't, I mean, I know I had two fresh tire cars underneath of me anyway. I was four wide, and I'm like, I'm going straight to the back
Because he's around you, he's going to get a better run. You're in the middle.
And so at that point, I know that I'm going to my crew chief told me there was 18 cars on the lead lap. And at that point, I said, all right, well, I'm probably live looking at a picture. I'm probably running
we got to reorganize the troops.
I'm about to get passed by everybody behind me who's on fresh tires. I'm about to finish in the mid-teens.
You know the drill.
And I said, you're coming with me, buddy.
Really?
I did.
Wow, that's not what I thought.
It wasn't a mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake. I unleashed. I let the wheel go, and I said he's coming with me. And so, it's been interesting because I hear people say, well, this for last year, this for that. It's not. I got wrecked at the Clash. I don't know that Ross sees it that way. I think he's
Denny,
still curious about what I thought about the Clash. I don't know why he would wonder what I thought about the Clash. But,
I wish I could turn this volume down. It would be perfect. Let me see if I could download it. If it would take forever. I'll do it this way for now. Because it's a little too good to do it the other way. My man Denny, man. It's the best of 2023. Denny Hamlin on his podcast. We Govern in China. It's downloaded. Make sure I open it. With the right joint, and the right joint.
The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media.
What's up, Actions Detrimental listeners? Jared Allen, Purple Vest 560 here.
Perfect.
Year one of the podcast is in the books. Denny Hamlin, driver of the Joe Gibbs Racing number 11 and co-owner of 2311, isn't here today.
Perfect.
But we wanted to give you a best of podcast. We had a lot happen this past season. Denny fined by NASCAR. NASCAR acknowledging Denny as one of the 75 greatest drivers. Chase Elliott wrecking DH.
Perfect.
Noah Gragson getting punched. Coach Gibbs crashed the pod to have Denny sign his contract extension and share a funny story about jet skis from back in the day. Michael McDowell stopped by after proving Denny wrong. William Byron stopped by after winning the Actions Detrimental Bracket Challenge. And even Denny's mom paid a visit to the podcast. Plus plenty of Ross Chastain talk and a whole lot more. Enjoy.
this is the kickoff for Fox. That's all.
I think we made change on this podcast.
We did. Come on, someone at Fox, you got to admit it. They got rid of my goatee.
They did.
They did.
They went back to the less pronounced,
They did. And I
softer look.
I need to see, did they adjust everyone's,
man,
did they
that's
tone
just-
everyone's face down slightly?
I think last year, I think the sketches were a little less pronounced. You didn't have a goatee. The skin tones were a little softer. And I think that's what they went back to. I could be wrong, but I think they changed it for everybody, not just you.
So, elephant in the room, I guess. Should we-
What people want to know.
Yeah, I guess you guys have hung on long enough. So at the end of the race, me and Ross got into it.
National focus.
Basically, here's the thing, right? Is that I got to the end of the race. I saw he was on the outside of me.
We
I
can
went into
annex
turn one
Manchu.
with the mindset that I'm going to try to get the best finish that I can get. I'm on 2 tires, and I go into turn 1. And while I even went shallow on speed,
So we're going to go
my
this way.
car
We're definitely going to do the
loud.
same thing we did last time.
I mean, what it means is I turned the wheel, and the front tires just were going straight. And they were calling the one car on the
not right.
outside. So at that point, I knew that I was screwed. I was
Oh,
about
yeah,
to
because
go
we like
backwards.
these
I had
extra.
all
We
the
got to
4
get these
tire
research
cars
slots.
on my ass. They were going to pass me, or more than likely, in the next corner. If they didn't, I mean, I know I had 2 fresh tire cars underneath of me anyway. I was 4 wide, and I'm like, I'm going straight to the back
Because he's around you, he's going to get a better run. You're in the middle.
And so at that point, I know that I'm going to my crew chief told me there was 18 cars on the lead lap. And at that point, I said, all right, well, I'm probably live looking at a picture. I'm probably running 6th or 7th. I'm about to get passed by everybody behind me who's on fresh tires. I'm about to finish in the mid-teens. And I said, you're coming with me, buddy.
Really?
I did.
I love
wow,
that.
that's not what I thought.
You coming with me,
It
buddy?
wasn't a mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake.
Okay.
I unleashed. I let the wheel go, and I said he's coming with me.
I
And
might
so,
put that on an intro.
it's been interesting because I hear people say, well, this for last year, this for that. It's not, I got wrecked at the Clash. I don't know that Ross sees it that way. I think he's still curious about what I thought about the Clash. I don't know why he would wonder what I thought about the Clash. But, I've said for a while, well, you got to do something to get these guys' attention, whatever, and I've said it, and I think that Ross doesn't like it when I speak his name in the media and when I had this microphone. But I told him, well, I have a microphone, and I'm going to call it like I see it. And until you get a microphone, you can then say whatever you want about me. But the fact is while I'm sitting here talking, I'm going to call things the way I see it, and sometimes I'm going to have to call myself out, which I'm the dumbass who lost just as many spots as he did. But at the time, I said, well, I'm going to finish anyway, and I'm just going to make sure that he finishes.
Hamlin,
right
bro. This is my dude.
So it's difficult because, at times,
I love Denny Hamlin.
People want me to react right away, but I don't want to involve any other cars. I told you guys,
okay, that makes
privately,
sense.
my friends, it's difficult to be in a position where you can get back at a person and not involve an innocent bystander. It's really hard to do.
That's real.
Then you've got other people pissed at you because you're doing something that affected
I'm
their
reacting to
race
the
when they had nothing to do with it. And I never wanted to do that. At the time, I'm like, I'm going to finish in the mid-teens anyway because my car is just plowing here. I'm about to get ate up by all these new tires. I just was like, if I'm going to give this guy a hard time, this is going to be
We're trying to make some more
bounce off
factories.
the wall. So my ideal situation was I was going to kind of just knock
Need
him in the
infrastructure,
fence
too.
a little bit, and I was going to keep going.
So you were going to finish 14th, 15th.
Yeah, probably, somewhere in there. I mean, it's hard to assume anything, but I thought so. But he actually got the jump. He downshifted quicker, and then he brake checked me a few times. You saw that from the inboard down the backstretch. He hit the brakes a couple times, and I wasn't letting off at all. It didn't matter to me. So I just I wanted to get back to racing, honestly, with him. And I think that that's a lot of the conversation that we had afterwards.
I was going to say, what was the conversation after race? Because it was
conversation.
It was a long conversation.
He came up to me and he says, "I guess I deserved it." He says, and I said, "Yeah, I think so." I'm not going to sit here on this podcast and ever lie to you guys and say, "Well, this is an accident," when it's not. It wasn't an accident. I meant to put him in the fence, but I didn't mean to screw my team in the process, which maybe I should get the DVC, what an idiot, for costing my own team, 10 spots more than likely. We talked, and I think that we are in a better place.
They friends. They the pals.
We're willing to put the past behind us, and I think that we're going to judge each other from this point forward.
Yep.
And I think that's the fairest way to do it.
Ross and Denny ended
as
up
far as the
friends,
season is
which is
concerned,
funny, I think.
He got me, and while it didn't cost him, it did cost me at the Clash. It cost both of us here, but that's my execution, right? So that's not his fault. So I just think that we need to just race each other with better respect from this point forward, and that's what I hope.
Train my
to get out of
soldiers at this
And
border.
He asked for a truce. I asked for a truce, and let's just see how it goes from here. There's no promises, but also if you can, I just said, Chastain, I really need to get some respect. Clearly, you don't respect me for whatever reason, right? And people have a right to not respect me. Maybe I've done them wrong in the past.
I want big
something
juicy
I'm not
divisions.
aware of. But tell me what it is, and maybe I can give you an explanation, or I can say, you know what, that's my fault, and I need to do better. I was in the conversation practically begging him to just take accountability for the past. I had to kind of push him into taking that accountability, but I think that I heard what I wanted to hear, and now I'm ready to move on. And hopefully he's ready to move on, and we're going to race each other hard but clean in the future.
Might need these.
Now we're going to
Army
move on from this.
experience.
Are you ready for this? Because let's just say, if NASCAR could do this, we don't need credit, but just hear me out. I have a fix.
Are you about to? You got out a pen Looks like you're about to draw a
I don't know
diagram.
why. I don't know why. Like
Yeah.
people can watch what I'm writing here. I do. I have a fix, and this is something I've been thinking about for years.
Let's put
and
the
I actually
cavalry
brought
in
it
the
up to
interior.
NASCAR, probably a year and a half ago.
Oh, really?
But I do. I think during the summer months we should be kicking ass in the ratings. We should be. We're just competing against baseball for the most part. Maybe some big PGA events when they come up. I got a fix. 5 week fix where we are going to have more storylines than ever. The drivers are going to get amped up. This is it.
The
this
brackets.
is going to be a game changer, and the investment NASCAR has to.
I think
will
this
have
is
need
his
to put
bracket
in this to
challenge.
Make it happen. They will get a tenfold return on that investment. You ready?
Okay. Yep. Go for it.
We're going to have a bracket challenge. We're going to wait till 10 weeks into the year. So let's just say right now this is week 10, Talladega. You have 10 weeks to get yourself in the top 32 in points. Okay, so leading into that, you could have the storyline of, let's say just a few weeks before this, start week 8, week 7. Now TV's talking about who's going to get in the top 32 to get in this bracket challenge, right?
They're
So
going to
then that's the
reorganize the
story.
railways.
Then for the next 5 weeks, and maybe you do it every other week, but I think you need to do it every week. 5 weeks in a row where you have a head-to-head competition, and you're seeded based off of where you are in points at week 10. So the number 1 seed is whoever's first in points. They will be going up against the 32nd place guy in points this week.
All right, now we got to make Army
so on,
divisions.
So forth. Second will play
31.
will go against 31. Third will go against 30. And so you have
Got 4.
these
There's 4.
16 matchups
We got more than
for
enough.
this week coming up at
That's what we
Dover.
do.
Um,
One,
and
2.
certainly what that also does is creates now you have some betting lines. You'll probably have Vegas make odds on who the tournament winner will be. They'll probably have odds on the matchups this week. So there'll be 16 key matchups that will go on this week in Dover. Whoever wins between the two moves on to the next week. I can tell you, as the drivers are concerned, we would be wildly competitive for this. The reason is there's a big prize at the end. But not only that, but our egos. You want, like, this is a end season. I really think that this would create so many storylines, and you would have no idea how much the teams would change their strategies in the middle of the race to beat whoever they're up against that given week to move on to the next round. How much content that would be created on
It's the coastal
two
dudes.
drivers head to head this week. Who's gonna win?
Right. Just whoever
And
finishes
like
better.
even Fox or NBC could have a ticker on the right side. Just put it on the far right or something of, okay, the 5 car is going against the 7 car this week. Here's where, the 5 and the 7. Here's where they're running right underneath. So you always can see where these head-to-head matchups are during the race, and you can see, we got a head-to-head matchup, and they're running 7th and 8th. I guarantee you those drivers are going to move each other out of the way to move on to the next round because they know they're racing against one car that week.
You
Burnt
actually
ourselves out.
didn't make it to the track till Sunday this week.
What y'all doing,
I
man?
went to
What y'all
a
doing
wedding
this?
on Saturday.
I love putting you on the spot. Yeah, so you went to a wedding? Were you in the wedding?
No,
Were you just attending?
I was. You keep digging.
Oh, you want me to keep going?
You're the host. You can ask whatever questions you want.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is great. So who'd you go with?
Yeah, a friend invited me
Awesome.
to this wedding. You were kind enough to oblige. It was the first practice any track activity I missed in 5 years.
I know, a long time.
Did you have to ask Larson for permission too?
No, just Denny because he's my to and from these races.
Oh, I got you. I'm just,
Yeah,
you just use me
he's my
for that.
transportation. So I got to
Oh.
make sure that I could get a ride back if I didn't get a ride out there.
Okay, well, that's good. I hope you had fun. We missed your photos of me on your iPhone 10. Those of you who don't know, Jared's, he does a lot of
My
his work
generals,
on this-
baby.
on his camera phone, and I just got
Who's
the
in- oh, my
upgrade,
general, man.
and for myself, I went from an 11 to a 15 plus, so
Dang,
big
Son
shift
Lee.
there. What's yours?
It's a 12.
Who's on?
12,
But
okay.
it'll soon be that
My
15
man Goo.
Pro Max.
My man
Well, we
Wade.
missed you this weekend.
That's
it
a
was
great name,
hot
Wade.
as f- out there.
You're acting like I wasn't there. I showed up on Sunday,
I know,
ready to go.
but I mean, I know when you just show up for race day, it's like you're not really there.
Start
Plus, I
exercising.
missed your every. Jared can't. So those of you who don't know, Jared camps out at my bus. So every 5 minutes is door open, door closed. I mean, I'm trying to like either sleep or
All right, we
concentrate
letting
on
it
something.
rip now.
Here he comes in.
Look.
There he goes out.
Okay, you have two choices.
Full
Would you rather
speed.
me do that or just and then you never hear it again because the door just
Let's
stays
look at the
open
troops move.
for the rest of the day?
What do you have to go in and out for?
Get things. I don't know.
Scatter
Computer
themselves
things.
across the land.
That's all. No, that's not true because that's in the little banquette area. I mean, you got your spread out from one end of the bus to the other. So, I mean, it's all right there.
Just be thankful.
We
that
on
when I
home
did get there
security,
on Sunday, I had a 6:20
essentially.
flight. We landed at like 8 o'clock Central Time. Track's not open till 11. I did not enter the bus until you came out at 11:30 to go to your first appearance. Did you tell Brad to lock the porta potty next time?
Yeah, that was just a bad move on his part. I'm not going to talk about what I saw, but it was very interesting to see him with his helmet on in fire suit. Yeah, it was. He was in a rush. I felt the same thing he did. By the way, I had to use the bathroom really, really bad. I had to pee, like extremely bad, and so like for the first time, I really don't use the bathroom that much before the like. I know that I need to pee before the race because I know as much fluids as I'm going to take in throughout the race, like it gives me a stomach ache at the end because I'm like holding it in, and I tried to let it go at Atlanta. Now, I've never peed or done anything in my suit in my 18-year career.
Dang, never?
Hand to God on that. Never done it. But
I'll be
I
peeing
was
in
so
my suit
uncomfortable
every
at the end of
time.
Atlanta
Right in the
that
beginning of the race.
I wanted to let it go. And I tried to relax. I'm like, just let it go. And I couldn't do it. The stage fright or whatever it was, just not wanting to make a mess in my suit and then in my seat. I'm just like,
Just let it
I
go.
can't do it. There's only one more caution, hopefully, and we're going to get this thing over. So I jumped out of the car, and Brad must have hauled ass to the car because he beat me to the John. And listen, it's not my job to knock on the door. It's up to him. He has
Of a green handle.
You see a green handle, you pull it.
Yep.
Do you knock on? Have you ever
Nope.
knocked on?
Never.
No.
That's
No.
what the green red's for.
That's right. So
That's right.
definitely a rookie move by Brad.
Shout out to the cameraman.
Rookie
for
porta
capturing
potty
the content
decisions.
for me
Shout
and the
out.
rest
Is
of
it
the
kind of
Twitter
weird though? Why do you
I think-
follow him?
Well, I guess he probably could have thought that maybe he was going to approach another driver or something.
Yeah.
Got these
But,
jet
I mean,
wings.
keeping the camera on him for the entire time he was in the John.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Do you want to get to this now?
Get to what?
Why you're holding your chin up?
Because my neck muscles aren't strong enough to do it? Sure. Let's go ahead.
This is what everyone's tuning in for. So, I don't know. You can set the scene. I feel like you were in the car.
I was. I mean, we were myself, Chase, and the 17 were on fresh tires. We were coming to the end of the stage. There was about 15 laps left in the stage, and I felt pretty good about making some ground. The 9 car was struggling. He didn't have a very good car all day. Obviously, I had time to kind of go back and watch some of the race while I was sitting in the bus while the race was still going on. And, yeah, I think, I was in a position where I was trying to make a
Regaining
move on
fuel.
him. It's the same mistake that we see week in, week out on these mile and a halves. Where, I mean, again, what I love about this is that it's the same people that are
Research.
like, Chastain said he left them just one lane. Well, I mean, there was a gap between me and the 9. I didn't hit the 9. He hit the wall. I squeezed him up there, no question about it. You could see fire coming out of my car. You could see telemetry. I'm slamming on the brakes to try to stop and get off of him to not make contact.
But ultimately, he made contact with the wall because I forced him up there, and then threw a hissy fit. And he was having a day anyway, in his opinion, and he threw a little temper tantrum and decided to hook a left on us down the straightaway. And not only straightaway, but the dog leg. Like, I hit head on, not sideways. Like, the worst part of the racetrack that I could possibly hit. So, I don't know. We've seen this. I've seen this with him in the past. When you got pissed off when Larson
What are you talking
drove
about?
him up in the fence at California. Larson's leading the race at the end. He intentionally caused a caution there, trying to screw Larson over, his teammate. And then when Harvick and him got into it, he came in. Where's Harvick? I'm going to help my teammate out. Blocked Harvick so Kyle Larson could win. Like, this is bullshit. And so even when you got the Dawsonville pool room saying, oh, boy, we need a substitute driver next week, you probably know you f***ed up. There's
Larson,
no
Harvick.
explanation that he could possibly give, which he didn't, of reason for hanging a left. He obviously didn't want to admit it. He did I can't hear you, sorry. And then, sorry, I can't hear what you're saying, but yeah, my car just couldn't drive it. Bullshit. The wheels were dead straight. Even after we crashed and, destroyed our he goes down the back straightaway, and you look at both tires, front tires are pointed the correct direction. And I pointed out in the data that I tweeted that once he got into the wall, there was nothing wrong with his car. He's turned the wheel back straight.
Talking about Chase?
Like he was going down the straightaway.
Not
and,
Chase.
And you can tell by data whether you've got toe link damage or not. So you can tell that basically if your line is skewed one direction or another,
Trying to
where
figure
you
out who
can
we
turn it
beefing
left,
with,
turn
didn't
it
he?
right, whether you've been a toe link or done significant damage. For God's sakes, Tyler Reddick pounded the wall twice as hard as he did and didn't hurt his car. Everyone hits the wall. But he threw a hissy fit, and he just hung a left on us in the most dangerous part of the racetrack that you possibly could. And it ended my day and his, and in my opinion, he shouldn't be racing next weekend because NASCAR set a precedent last year on this. If you want to quote Steve O'Donnell, he says, when they asked why did they suspend Bubba Wallace, he says, our actions were really specific to what took place on the racetrack, and we look at it on how that incident occurred. In our minds, that was a dangerous act. We thought that it was an intentional and it put other competitors at risk. Jared, make a counter argument.
No, I agree. I think both incidents, Bubba hooking Larson in the wall at Vegas and this one today are almost
And by the way, as the car owner of Bubba Wallace, that was bull too. I agreed with it. That's why I look at all the comments. I said it was bull. Like, that is just so immature to right rear hook someone. It's just childish, and it just pisses me off because, you got to be better than that.
Cool.
I don't have any major plans yet. I'm looking forward to Boone,
Dang, I missed that.
North Carolina, the mountains, creating some fake snow so I can go snowboard at least once a week.
Oh, are you going to relocate up there, or are you just going to travel back and forth?
Probably travel back.
Spanish Civil War,
You
baby.
haven't found a van down by the river yet?
I have not found a van yet. I'm waiting for you to get done with your Sequoia out here, so I can just take that and.
How we
go
looking with the
some travel
Chinese
model.
communists?
So, those who don't know, Jared is
They hate us.
he's really taken this granola thing quite far. You're wanting
For what
to
it's
Mile,
worth,
you're
man.
wanting to live out of your
No,
vehicle, right?
I said I would like
They
to
ain't
have
feeling
a
us.
vehicle where it's possible to live out of.
Stage are cool.
And then
I just want to at some point in the
Yeah, I
next
had no
however
other
many
party.
years, I just want to drive around
No, we could
the
do
west, the desert for 3 to 4 weeks.
but you
want
to stay in the desert? Like,
Yeah, go from I don't know, down in
Okay.
Arizona up to
that's cool. You're
to
a
Seattle or
traveler.
something. Yeah, I just want to do that and live out of my vehicle. First of all, you save so much money on hotel costs.
And you don't even need to buy soap, right?
You just buy one.
I know one of these dudes
I'm just saying, either shampoo or body wash. Either will get it done for you.
could save.
All right, so would you rather we had this debate. You
Yeah.
said that you don't need
I just
body
said,
wash as long as you have shampoo.
I just said I think the whole shampoo body wash debate is a little for the marketing. You don't need both.
Okay, I see what he's
Sure,
saying.
you know, both is good, but you can get away with one or the other.
Yeah.
All right, so would
it's
you
just
rather
soap.
have shampoo on your body or body wash on your hair?
Body wash on
Shampoo
your
on my
hair?
body, 100%.
What?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Shampoo on your
Jared, do
body?
you still have like the 3-in-1?
No, like I'm just saying that if you, in a situation where you're living out of a car and you need to consolidate space, a bottle of shampoo will do it for you for 2 weeks. It'll be all right. We talked about this last week. You said I think we should have my
Damn.
mom on. I think you're watching a lot of episodes with Dale and his wife, right? And I think that's how that came to be. I'm
No,
guessing.
I got some advice on it for sure, but I'll say that you really missed out.
Look at that stability.
The content that was worth having was in the first 15 minutes of our car ride to Darlington today on Mother's Day. We carpooled, all of us together, me, Mom, Jared, and the whole crew. So that was fun. It took a while for you to get the GoPro going, but by the time you did, everything kind of died
Well,
down.
yeah. So I didn't necessarily think that we would all be carpooling together, so I wasn't prepared for that. And I get in the car, and like you said, you start talking, and it's just
We're not
a
gonna have
great
enough factories.
conversation about things that she does in her
Well, we
free
didn't get
time.
out of the driveway until I dropped a few F-bombs,
Yeah.
right? And that's when, Mom, guys, do y'all hear? Mom,
I could get some
up
infrastructure
close
we
to the
want.
microphone, and so people can hear you sighing every time I drop an F-bomb.
I do.
She hates it.
I
Yeah.
hate it.
She does.
There's no reason for it.
Well, I believe it's a way to express how very passionate I am about a particular thing that we're talking about.
Then he handling talking to his mom.
I mean,
It's
and
funny.
it's also the only word that you can make a complete sentence out of by just saying that word.
Yeah.
We won't say it, of course.
Good.
But since it's since it's Mother's Day, my pact is for this show, I'm gonna drop no F-bombs for this show.
Just in this segment
you.
while she's sitting here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, she appreciates that. We had
Oops.
other players. Yeah, my mom has really loud, and I tell her all the time, "Mom, the ringer, Mom." I mean, she's got her flashlight blinking every time a text comes.
That's what happens when you turn old.
Mom thinks she's older than she really is. I have people
No,
in my
I know
basketball
how
league
old
that
I
are older
am.
than you, Mom.
Huh?
Think about that. I have people older than you in my basketball league.
Not much older.
Yeah, that's probably true. But no, it's racing is what we did for forever. I think her passion for racing.
Then he
came
got
when
a
she got to
basketball
go in the
league
go-kart
of old
herself in
people.
the Powder Puff race with a bunch of moms at a Million Motor Raceway, and she was excited when she got out of the car. But she's my biggest fan for sure. Runs my fan club that's been going for decades now, and she's always the one. Whenever you send fan mail, please don't send fan mail. But she gets it, and then she sets it all out for me to sign and stuff here in the basement. So she's really in touch with my fans. For sure. There's a lot of fans that have been fans of mine for such a long part of my career that she's got to know them personally.
Since the beginning.
I mean, for God's
Yep,
sakes, there's
your
only a
rookie
handful
year.
of them at this point. So,
But
all my
they
fans
are true
by first name.
fans.
I agree.
I mean, they stick with
I
you
agree.
through thick and thin.
For sure.
Through all those boos.
Oh, speaking of which,
How do you?
That
feel
was
about
awful today.
So you don't like?
I don't. I mean, I know
I remember this episode.
why they're there.
Why are they there?
Because he's so outspoken.
agree.
Yes.
I don't think it's what I do on the
But
racetrack.
I don't
sure.
think today was appropriate
agree.
because they were showing, what's the word I'm looking for?
Displeasure.
Acknowledging the top 75 NASCAR
Yeah.
drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting.
I'm
You
gonna get
would
the next
think
episode
for
ready.
sure. The fans would just acknowledge. It doesn't matter whether you liked or disliked those drivers back when they
Right.
were around. And like, I'm standing front and behind all the legends like Jeff Gordon, Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, all these guys, and everyone. I mean,
it was an enormous boo.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa, what'd I do? Like,
I think I saw a picture of it where they all were turning, looking at you.
they were, and they were like,
The picture was on my computer.
Yeah.
but you know what they all said though? They said that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Jeff Bodine, he's like, hey, that's a good thing. Bill Elliott, same thing. So it was like,
Yeah.
And it's not like
It's-
some of them haven't gone through.
yeah, for sure. I get it. I see your point though. Probably a little disrespectful in that setting for sure. If it's driver intros, I think it's whatever, right? It's free
Yeah.
game if you don't,
Right.
But I mean, for so long, Kyle Busch got tons and tons of boos, and all of a sudden, he switched
It
over
switched
to RC
to you.
over. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it switched to me. I mean, Joe Logano's been the most for a while too. Him and Kyle were back and forth, but I've clearly taken the
Kyle's
crown.
spot at JGR. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
listen, I think there's a certain amount of fans anyway that don't. Tony Stewart. There's a lot of fans that did not like when we switched manufacturers back in 2008, and then he switched back, and then bam, they love him again. So that plays a factor. Getting into it with a few Hendrick guys, that'll certainly knock you down the favoritism list for sure. But yeah, I always said, that like the last thing you want is claps. Like claps just
Max
means,
Factory.
woohoo! All right,
On
all
to
right.
the
Next guy. Right? When you're booing or you're cheering, you have some sort of feeling about that person, one way or another. So, I do think that a lot of it certainly comes from comments, outspokenness.
Yep.
I think that no one
I agree.
likes an opinionated person, but
And there have been many a time when I have called you up and said, "Did you really say this?"
she does. She says it all the time.
But as soon as I hear your part of it as to instead of just the snippet of it
Mhm.
that somebody on the radio might mention, they don't get the whole scope
Yeah.
of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you read headline. I mean, it's why we started this podcast, really, right? Is that Dale Jr. thought the same thing. He says, well, I think you're misunderstood, and if you just get the whole word out there, then I think that people will understand you better. But
Yeah.
Oh, it's the
Um,
political advisor.
I'm not here to try to be the most popular driver or anything like that.
We
I'm not
actually
trying
want
to win
this
any
dude.
fans over. You like me or you don't, but I certainly, my poor mom. Guys, think about that when you boo me. It's my mom is sitting back there, just hands in head, just shaking her head. And me and Mom had a good heart-to-heart a few months ago about, my outspokenness. And I was just like, Mom, this is who I am. Like, I hate to...
He got it from, who did he get it from?
His dad, not from me, because
Construction
I'm the type of
speed.
person that I want to keep everything calm. So I'd
Yes.
rather just go along with
Mom
the
is
flow
not the
and not say
confrontational type.
anything. Yes.
Yeah, right. If the steak is not cooked properly at the restaurant, you're just going to eat it anyway, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I
Exactly,
can tell you, I
she
finally
say.
found a way to deal with him when he was my neighbor. I put Pat, my wife, on him. And believe me, she was after him all the time.
Yeah.
Music's too loud. Quit parking the cars in my
Yeah.
driveway. I think it took her about 18 months to run Denny out of the neighborhood. He was gone.
We had weekly parties at the house. Listen, I bought the house because Joe was still at Washington. He was still coaching, and I'm like, well, he won't be back anytime soon, and I'll be out of here by the time he comes back to the racing team. Oh no, well, he came back 1 year later, and next thing you know, we're truly neighbors. So when I have people over,
Upgrading old
they
military.
happen to fill up the street and they block his entrance to his house, and I get his wife Pat writing notes on these windshields saying,
get these tanks
"Don't park
ready."
here, don't park there,
start
turn the
making 'em.
music down." We would have late night basketball games with a few of the Charlotte Bobcat players. Raymond Felton came, and a bunch of different guys. They'd come over and play every now and then, and but we would play late into the night. So. But yeah, it was a interesting dynamic we had as neighbors, but I sure am glad I moved off that street.
Gotta
Okay,
make a
my
template, I
favorite-
see.
My favorite story
I get
on
it now.
that, I got one more story. So they had a big party. I knew it was Saturday night. Stuff's going all night long and everything.
Saturday night.
Yeah, and so
Give me some
I
water.
come out the next morning, and my jet ski was messed up. So I'm out there with the jet ski, and it's messed up. And so there, all of a sudden, I hear a bunch of them around the pool, okay? So I'm focused on the jet ski, and all of a sudden, I heard this splashing of people coming towards me. And I turned around like this, and there were two girls, I swear to you, that were half-dressed, okay? And here they come
going
towards
down?
me, and I'm kind of going, I'm looking, what is this? And so they come over, and they go, hey, Coach. I went, yeah. They said, hey, I left my purse on the other side of the lake. Can you take
At the
me over
sandbar.
there? Can you take me over there on the jet ski? Okay, now, Pat is on the back porch. I'm looking up at Pat on the back porch. I got this girl is asking me, and I turned around and I said, not on your life. I said, and then I looked, and they're all standing back at the pool and everything. I said, there's your group. Go get those guys.
Could you imagine seeing Joe with these two chicks on the back of his jet ski, taking them? Because we lived right across from the sandbar where everybody would kind of boat together. And so, yeah, they asked Joe. I mean, why they didn't ask me, I'm not sure, but they saw someone tinkering with a jet ski out, my neighbor, and they're just like, hey, come give us a ride. They didn't know he was my boss or anything like that. So, very awkward morning.
Stop the tape. The kid needs to be locked away. Dr. Dre, don't just stand there, operate. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, man. Back to the Diddy.
It was. So
Sorry
anyway, we got him out of the neighborhood. That was it.
I like the
good.
context cluesness, though. You said Saturday night, jet ski, so it must be fairly warm. So it's not November through January.
No, it's an off weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to argue here on actions detrimental that is because of the bracket. The bracket is really what fueled these guys' fire.
and that's what caused this incident.
Noah wanted to be the first 32 seed.
Noah Gregson?
First
in
ever.
the history
In the history
of the Denny Hamlin bracket.
That's right.
Yep.
He had an opportunity to make history,
Yep.
and Ross didn't cut him any slack. So, that's the story and narrative we're going to go with here on this show. Anyway, it fueled Noah somehow, some way to go and approach him, which I respect. Like, get mad props to Noah to like, hey, I'm going to be a man and at least go confront him, because others, myself included, haven't confronted Chastain when they felt wrong by him, right? We just get off in the media and spout off about him and say how big of a he is and like, But Noah's like, well, no, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to do what these other drivers have not. Well, I think Chastain was willing to talk, and Chastain's been very level-headed in these conversations. Again, I've had multiple with him after the race, but he's been very level-headed. He'll talk to you and talk it through. Now, maybe Noah didn't get the response that he was looking for in that moment, so Noah grabbed him
create
with
faction.
his left hand. And at that
Chinese
time,
United
Chastain
Front.
made a
just
a total
Communist
pro
China.
move and grabs. So he has both of his hands free.
Hell yeah,
He
boy.
then grabs Noah's right wrist with his left hand.
Wrist control.
Wrist control is such a, oh my gosh, such an important part of a fight. He crosses. He's backing up. He grabs Noah's right wrist. So immediately he knows that Noah's probably stronger. He's going to lead
Wrist
with
control.
Lead with the right. So I'm going to know when he starts to bow up with the right because I've got control of his wrist. And I'm holding it down. So he knows that Noah really can't force a punch on him unless he's going to go jab. So he's got control of his wrist. And all of a sudden, Chastain backs up as far as he's willing to. And he's telling Noah, stop. And he told him twice. Stop.
Hamlin is that dude.
And he didn't stop. And then so Chastain then, while holding the right wrist,
wrist
comes
control.
with the right hand with a solid. I mean, you could hear it right to the jaw,
like that.
right? Connects. Noah was about to come with a counter. Gold shirt comes in there, breaks it up. So it's like, oh man, we just was about to see a counter, and it got broken up. So it sucks that happened. I wish they just kind of would have
let it go hockey style.
Let it go, right? You let them go until it gets to the floor, and then you come up. But
no, unite communist China with China.
Intercepted by
come
security.
together.
So
under nationalism.
Chastain once again gets a huge W.
And be the president.
with got him on the track, got him off the track, and nothing happened. But
my favorite part is once security comes in and pulls and is breaking it up. Chastain is like, I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, I'll say this about Noah. The guy can take a fucking punch, though. I appreciate the guy's jaw. You want to just get right to it?
Yeah.
Mr.
Let's dive right into what the people want to hear.
Okay, perfect.
Consumer goods.
As we talked about, the first restart there, I was on the inside. I really didn't love that position. I thought that maybe double stack on the outside was probably the best idea, but it's so hard. You can't give up the front row, which we didn't. Nobody. It's been a while since someone's given up the front row to, because you just never know which push could be the one that gets you by, and so I didn't really have a good restart there, and I got passed by a couple cars. And, I got passed by a couple cars, and then I'm restarting third, I believe, because I got back around the 48. Yeah, I got back around the 48, so I was third, so third, got to choose. I'm definitely choosing the outside here. This is where I was going to start when I was second.
We factory gimped.
I got a really, really good push from the 4, and it looked like the inside line did not get going because the 47 was way off
could start getting tanks
of the 5 on the restart. I thought they would actually, the 47 was off the 5, who, if you don't, it takes people 3 or 4 cars in line to really get a line going down the front straightaway. So I went into turn 1, and the key moment for me was getting clear of the 19
right before we get into turn one. So I shot low, and next thing you know, I go in there, and I feel like I go in there pretty deep, and the 5 sails off in there, and he just goes straight. And I'm like, oh, like in that moment, I'm like, oh, I got a shot. And I think I'm going to clear him at that point. So it's really, really tough because this happens in a matter of a half a second or 1 second, right? It's super quick. So I see him going up the racetrack and lose all of his momentum. I just gas it. And I just am like, I'm going to clear him right here. We're not going to run side by side. At that moment, he says, he's still there, still there. And again, this is so bang bang. It's really, really quick happening.
These factories.
I see where I'm at on the racetrack. I'm in the middle, and I'm like,
China coming up, boy.
I'm actually towards
trying to tell you
straddling the low line and the middle line. So I gas up, and I get to the middle lane as quick as I possibly can, thinking I'm going to clear him. And once I realize I'm not going to clear him, I'm like, ah. So I start lifting, and when that happens, I'm coming up. He's holding his line, and I still contest we did not touch. I know it looks like it, but there's not a ding on the car, not a scratch on the car, nowhere on the right side. So from where I was sitting on the left, I mean, I could not. If it was contact, I certainly didn't feel it. It was so small that I certainly didn't feel it in the car. I saw the flaps go up, which happens whenever you get some low pressure, I guess it's high pressure
main armament,
which happens when you do get close to each other. But so I throttle up there.
Oh, okay.
But I got to make sure that I still leave the guy some room to race.
Oh, that's just a chassis.
He definitely had room up on the high side, but when we get that close to each other, it causes both cars to go extremely tight, which is why we're both lifting, which is why we both lost momentum. But it just caused his car to go way tight.
Gotta research each piece.
Got right next to each other. I was tight. He was tight. We were both lifting, and he got into the outside wall. We still came off the corner side by side, and then the race was really kind of decided at that point by what happened behind us, because there was the 19 and the 4 both were coming with a huge run. And I immediately go down to the bottom of the racetrack, all the way to where I didn't want to go down where the cars, there's like a jump down where the drains are. So I kind of used that as my white line where I knew no one was going to go further left than that. And so it kind of left the 4 and the 19 no choice really but to follow me down there, because Larson kind of had the high line covered at the moment. So, we still came off side by side, which shouldn't be lost in all this, but yeah, it was the push down the back straightaway that I got that cleared me ultimately. But yeah, I wouldn't. Let me think how to word this. I didn't love it because it's Kyle Larson. He's a good friend of mine, but also I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't, because I think about the opportunity for me to get 50.
I got these
600
already?
for Toyota.
I don't think I
break
have
the record
these
at the track. There's just a lot of factors that goes into it. And
anti-air.
You guys mentioned, you and Travis, that like a few weeks ago, you're like, what'd I say?
Last week.
It was last week?
Yeah, last Monday.
What'd I say,
Monday.
Travis?
You were just talking about how you really wanted 50, and you're like, maybe I just have to start driving more aggressive.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drive aggressive.
And then you ended it with, just ask Kyle Larson.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Wow. Irony. Yeah, I mean, I think that I try. It's very, very hard, guys, when it's 1 second. You have 1 second, half a second to 1 second to make decisions on what you're going to do. But ultimately,
3 tanks.
I wanted to be aggressive. And so the aggressive part was, I'm throttling up right here and I'm going to clear myself right away. When he didn't get as bad of when he didn't bobble as much as I thought, because, listen, I can't see him out on the right side. When he shoots up in the middle of the racetrack, for whatever reason, either drove in too deep or didn't get his right side tires clean, I'm thinking, well, he is going to be really slow here, and I'm going to clear him. I got to get to the top. I don't want to get freight train, and this is the race for the win.
when the spotter says you're not clear, he's out there. It's my job at that point to leave him a racing lane, which I thought I did. We have William Byron here because he is our winner of our bracket challenge. And thank you, William. I told you it was very important for you to win this because you helped me win my Golf Guys pool. It's good. I backdoor covered these guys. I was in middle of the pack the whole time, and then I was the only one that had you winning the whole thing. So cool. And anyone who would listen,
dang, Byron run the bracket
on,
challenge and
I've
the
been very
championship.
high on you all year, talking about in my Final Four. I just think this was going to be a breakout year for William. So cool to have you on, and just talking about kind of the race this weekend. And so what did with the bracket challenge? Obviously, you leaned into it a little bit, and you started your own thing in the Coke E series, right?
Yeah,
with Logitech.
With the iRacing series, yeah. So we're doing a bracket there as well. So I mean, it'd be cool. Those guys are competitive, and it'll be nice to see those little battles. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I listened to you guys. Not every show, but some, and I saw the bracket come out, and I was like, man, this is. The way we're running, I think this is a great opportunity to make some moves.
Press censorship?
So it was cool. Like, not every matchup I looked at, but certainly the Reddick one at Darlington. He lined up in front of me on the on the second last restart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he went in that big wreck and, like, literally just, like he got hooked right.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
So you knew that you were up against Reddick.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, that one I did because I thought that one was tough. I mean, he's good at Darlington, and I thought we'd be running right around each other. So yeah, it was cool.
I got wiped. I got cleaned out in the Bowman Berry team, as we called it.
Cinderella Bowman Berry team.
Heavy tank design.
We're
trying to do heavy tanks.
Yeah, they beat me right
Yeah.
at the Coke 600 when I finished dead last. But it was just this weekend was cool at Nashville. Obviously, always a good vibe there. He had a sellout crowd.
Design lacks one or more.
Wait, hold up.
required
Before we move on
modules.
from the bracket, I was just curious of, like, as a whole, since you won this, right, what would
It's
if
the
prize
chassis.
was $3 million if
Yeah.
NASCAR is eventually to take this over?
What
were
would
you
I do?
thinking about when you won? Like, were you thinking about that? Like, man, this would have been a big payday if this was racing.
Yeah, it would have been really cool if there was some money on the line. But I think, 1 year too soon maybe. But I feel like it's a really good idea because I think there is that kind of summer lull with NASCAR that people either tune in or they're on the lake or doing whatever. So I feel like it's nice to have those battles. I know my high school buddies they loved watching it. They were tuned in. So they're somewhat betters themselves. So they like to look at those matchups and kind of figure out which track's better for each guy.
Yeah, so you had people texting you about the bracket, like, hey, I
Yeah.
need you to...
Yeah, a couple guys for sure. And my crew chief at the end, he was like, all right, let's make sure we lock this thing up here.
Well, I mean,
Special
I mean,
features.
you kind of took what should have been. I mean, not should have been. Brad in the final at Sonoma. Next thing you know, you guys are qualifying 24th and 26th or something like that. It was just like,
That's rough.
what are they doing back there? So,
And at the end of the race, we talked about it, that they were...
two spots.
14th and 16th.
I
was
that's
like,
what I needed to
can't
do.
give up a spot.
I was in the infield care center, by the way, getting my vitals checked, and I'm watching the monitor, and I'm looking to see what's the all right. Well, where's my cars?
Dang.
First of all, okay. I see Tyler Reddick going the wrong way on the racetrack, so I know he's not going to win.
Yeah.
And then I check out the
tank
William Byron
designer.
and Brad Keselowski battle. I'm like, oh, they're only within a second of each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, Brad's trying to chase him down so hard. I know it. But yeah, appreciate you guys agreeing to come on. It started by the way, Dale Jr. owes you some sun drop, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So,
That's
so
right.
we're going to have to make sure he pays up on that.
It was funny because Brad tweeted... And Brad started this,
He
right?
started it.
He said, I'll come on if I win.
Yep.
And then you were like, well, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was in the sim, and I'm reading that as I'm between runs, and I'm like,
So we got new
okay,
motors, don't we?
this is a deal. So, yeah, it was good.
This is the part of a new segment called "Not Too Late to Say I'm Sorry," sponsored by no one. Let's
Yeah.
hash it out
Hash
from
it out.
Texas 2022 playoff race. Basically,
I did to you what I did to Chase.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether I should be thanking you that you didn't just destroy me down the straightaway.
Well, I ran you down the racetrack. I just, yeah.
So these race cars, we were talking about how you
Extra
can manipulate
ammos,
the
smoke
person
launchers.
beside you, and
You're good at that.
I essentially put William to a decision off the corner because I wanted to get. I was
Do
trying
some
to
more
get
ammo
up,
storage on
and I
these
knew the
bad
closer I
boys.
got to his left side of his car, it was going to make him tighter. I didn't anticipate at the time my car taking off with his, and so usually when you do that, their car gets tight, and then you can just kind of pull back down. Well, I went up there tight with him.
We got a tank.
And caused them to door the fence. And I didn't tear up your car, by the way. I didn't tear up Chase's either. But I got him into the wall. And Willie B, the introverted child from his younger days, turned into Hulk and says, I'm going to get this guy, and spins me out under caution. He was bad. I don't think I've ever seen you retaliate.
I was, you know, I told you on the phone, I was, I think when I got to you under caution, I definitely meant to send a message. But when you went spinning through the infield, I was like, oh, that's not good.
Did you think that
heavy
NASCAR
tanks
was gonna
coming?
penalize you in the moment?
You know what? I thought so, yeah. And then I thought,
we need to.
Oh,
man,
see it,
cost
or
us some
maybe
factories.
it just was an awkward
Straight
circumstance where I hit
Look at
him.
this.
Because I did hit you off center a
Chromium.
little bit, and I mean, I hit you hard.
Yeah,
you know,
that's not so bad.
But
We need some chromium.
Yeah, I was. I think a little bit more red mist than I probably anticipated, and like I said after and said to you, I meant to, deliver a message, but I did, when you went spinning, I'm like, oh no, that's not good.
I mean,
that took away his chance to win, and you
I
lined up.
I was on
You probably
fire.
don't remember. You lined up behind me the next restart. I was like,
I
we were
did?
like 20th. Because we both pitted.
Oh,
yeah, we both pitted, and they're like, yeah, 11's, chose behind you. I'm like, okay, all right, let's see how this goes. We're either gonna wreck big or.
No, I wasn't going to do that for sure, especially, playoff race.
You get an annex either way.
I remember early in your career, who was it that was trying to get
If
you
we
to
go anti-communist,
somebody?
Chad. Well,
Chad, right? He was like,
Kyle.
you don't
annex
do something.
communist,
I ran Kyle
communist
Titan
China.
one in turn
Was this
one.
at Watkins
At Watkins Glen? Yeah, he was faster, but it was like
And
lap
Sing
2 or
Clean.
3. And I just kind of pinched.
If
you know,
we
through the
unite
middle
the
of
front.
corner. So he'd have to kind of pinch his, and he just. I guess he hit me in the door.
Create
and
a
spun,
faction with
and
Chinese
he got back to
communists.
me and sent me through the grass through the
Work together.
through the bus stop. And Chad's like, if you don't do something, we're gonna have an issue after the race. So
And then you destroyed the front of your car.
yeah, I was an idiot. So he was it wasn't his fault. It was just my fault for being an idiot. But
man,
live and learn.
Live and learn,
Live
right?
and learn. But yeah,
This is what we want.
Well, I tell you, I appreciate you coming on because this is it's been enlightening for sure. And Jared, do you have any others you want to?
Well, following up on that, do you have any tips for Daniel on how to win an appeal for race manipulation?
Oh well. I don't know.
Oh, Jared, off the top rope.
There is a cherry on top to all.
Damn,
this.
that's a
Obviously,
decision.
Great race. Good for you in that you won. We had the fight on pit road. But Chastain throws his right hook,
go,
knocks
baby.
Noah in the face, and then 5 minutes later,
So it look like we're gonna
comes
go
the
to war
victory
with,
lane
with
to congratulate
communists
you.
first.
That's
our
hats
practice
off
war.
to him.
If we can't beat
he's
them, then
finding
we
a
can't
warm
beat
place in
nobody
my heart.
else.
Chastain is. He really is. So I
Oh.
just feel like,
Prioritized the interior.
yeah. I mean,
Oh,
since
okay.
Phoenix, which is what's supposed to happen, is you get into it, you talk it out. You're very rational, which we were. We said, listen, we're going to judge each other from this point forward. And there were specific moments in that race where Chastain either could have continued to run side by side with me or let me go.
Taking
He
down
let me
mile.
go multiple times. And I told him when he came up, so, to let people know what he said, he just said to me, he was like, awesome drive, man. I never thought you were going to get back to him. Congrats. I said to him, hey, I recognize what you did early in the race. You'll get that back.
Yep.
And so that's the kind of the respect that you want to have between drivers, is that,
I wanted him to know that, hey, I recognized you cut me a couple breaks this race. So I want you to know it is in my piggy bank that, when the roles are reversed and you're faster, I probably need to let him go a couple times as well. So that's how I think it's supposed to be done. And, thank you for him for coming up. He was that was manly of him.
Yeah, sure. I think we've reached a point in this relationship where he could come on here and now laugh about all the bullshit that you guys
Hey,
have
you
done.
never know. I mean, as you know, Ross is not shy about it. Doesn't matter what happened last week. He's willing to be the bulldog the next week as well. So, it's starting to warm up to him for sure.
Yeah, his tweet was good too.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I told you on the plane I saw his tweet. It was just
I can't do these.
He said, "Uneventful day in Kansas. Looking forward to next week."
Places
and I'm
I
just
need.
like, he's trolling us, right? He's definitely
sure.
trolling us. So that was awesome by either
Theorist.
him. It was probably his social team for sure.
He gained a lot of fans yesterday.
Yeah. And then obviously I got the call
Excuse me, military
on
theorist.
Thursday from Jim France, and I told some of the media members this past weekend, I was like, I remember heading. I forget where I was
Okay,
going,
so
but
we gotta do. We gotta get rid
I
of
was in
this
my car,
civilian
got
economy.
notified Jim France is calling. I'm like,
Should have been
here
did
we
this.
go again. What are they mad about now? Like, something I said or whatever. And it was just a huge honor to get that call, to be part of the NASCAR 75. And of course, I got asked, well, did you ever think about whether you'd be on it or not? And of course, right? Every driver, there's not a driver in the field that's not like, I wonder if my credentials are good enough to get in there. But, and I knew mine was, but still, until you get the call, like, that's when it makes it real. So I was super honored to get that call, and
Go to this.
very appreciative, and he said, this
Gearing
came
up for
from
warfare, baby.
media members, your peers, things like that, who all vote on this. So it's a big honor. And again, it's, from my standpoint, there's only one next.
Push the
big one
tanks
next,
through.
right?
We
And that's
get
the
them
Hall of
tanks
Fame.
through
So this is the
Communist
closest
China,
thing you
baby.
get to that before you get to the Hall of Fame.
Working
so
on our
I
fuel.
think, it's
Technologies.
it's cool that my mom said to me, she says, would you ever imagine, when you were racing at Southside or Langley, that, your life would have taken a turn like this, right? We were on the cusp of not racing anymore. We were to our final race, and you got a lucky break and got seen at the right time, and your career just took off down this path that, look at where you're at now compared to where you started. Not just, I thank my lucky stars every day that I'm able to
I do need to use
compete.
artillery.
But then to have the accomplishments in NASCAR that I've had is just
These tanks.
definitely humbling for sure.
Isn't that also something?
I don't have these new
I know
guns
you
yet,
talked
man.
about where it's like when you retire, you want other drivers you race against to think, man, I'd race against that guy every week.
Yeah, certainly. I think that NASCAR always kind of gets the drivers together and ask, who's the best at this or who's the best at that, who and they don't list it by winners, right? They just know who is my toughest competition. And it could be past drivers, current drivers, whatever. And you just want to be in the forefront of their mind of like someone that they have to beat. And I always said this, I said this 15 years ago. If I was just the guy who was at Southside Speedway and I went out on the racetrack to run practice laps, if my competition grabbed their stopwatch to, hey, what's he running? Like that was enough for me. I was fine being a Friday night superstar at my local short track, being the guy that people think, oh man, he's going to be tough to beat.
Let's go heavy fighters.
To get my competition's attention, that if they're going to win, they're going to have to come through me.
I thought we were all in agreement that this is great. The regular season finale, finishing in Daytona.
Oh, these protect
was one
bombers.
of the best things NASCAR has done.
Yeah, I mean, it just gave everyone, right, 25 races to point your way in. And if you just ain't going to get there on points, you got that one race at the end.
Everyone
to
has
try.
a chance.
Try.
Yes.
Right? And then you got the bubble people like, holy shit, I hope someone new doesn't win. And now,
Surface
I don't know.
attack.
I just can't make sense of the change of not just
moving it out from the regular, but moving it 1 week. I guess what
That's what we want.
explanation, again, I'm just using
Close air support.
Ben Kennedy's media availability here to try to rationale with the thinking of
I'm trying to
this,
shoot
is that,
people with the
Labor
planes,
Day
not
weekend
planes with the planes.
at Darlington
Essentially.
means
Our
a lot.
planes shoot people.
Who gives a f*** about that?
You know what I'm saying?
I don't get it. Like they're putting emphasis on like that people really care about. I'm going to Darlington because it's Labor Day weekend. No, you're going to Darlington because you live in the area and you like NASCAR racing.
Right.
Yeah, I'll say as a new fan,
However,
I don't care that Labor Day and Darlington go to, like, it doesn't bother me as a new fan. I don't give anything about it.
However, can I say this?
Yeah. Are you going to be devil's advocate? Because I need it. Because I don't
people with normal jobs have off on that following Monday, right?
Okay.
And this race is at 6 o'clock and ends at midnight.
Okay. I see your point. Yeah, I mean, I think about it.
Is
now.
that
my kids get to go to that race, and I'm wondering, and I usually stay the night after the race because it's so late. And I guess you're right; they don't have school the next day.
And this weekly schedule is kind of f***ed up because of the Olympics.
So stupid question: why not just run it Saturday night then? Why does it have to be Sunday?
Yeah,
It doesn't fall on the same date every year. It's just Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
Does it mess up the Xfinity scheduling?
I don't know. It's just I scratch my head and I bang my head against the wall sometimes because I think that NASCAR makes decisions to
An invitation from Yan Shan.
make a very small crowd that maybe seems loud on social media or something. I don't even know. That ain't this problem. But they just adhere as like, yeah, we're going to make changes because our fans want.
Yeah, let's go.
Like, what fans are you hearing or seeing? I don't.
Let me throw
We
out
should
another
forge
one.
an alliance
Saturday night
with the
for
communists.
NBC would be college football that weekend, where the NFL probably hasn't started yet, so they want that Sunday night.
Dang.
Okay. Well, it has become abundantly clear to me then we have too many.
He's saying to fight
to wrap
Japan.
up this Richmond conversation, we might not have had too much moving on the track, but we did have some movement in the standings. Bubba on the playoff cut line now plus 54 after yesterday. Michael McDowell plus 18. He's in 16th. Ty Gibbs in 17th minus 18, followed by AJ Allmendinger minus 22, Suarez minus 34, and Chase Elliott now minus 40.
Okay. Let me update this.
There
My
is a
Suarez pick to
justification
make the
of
final,
war
the playoffs
against us.
That's dead. It's a dead bet. I just that they're heading in the wrong direction. I haven't really seen the speed out of the Trackhouse cars that we saw earlier in the year. But breaking news: Chase Elliott is going to make it, and he's going to make it on points. Stop shaking your head. He's going to make it on points. You want to know how I know?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Enlighten us.
Someone tell me where Bubba Wallace was 4 weeks ago.
Chase Elliott did not make it.
He was around the cut line.
You're not listening to me. How many races are left?
4.
4. Okay. Show me the points from 4 weeks ago. Bubba Wallace was like 0 to the cut line. Now he's plus 54. And where has his finishes been? Low teens during that 4-week stretch. Now he's gotten some stage points, but the low teens.
Low teens as in around the top.
So
10.
he went from about the cut line, 0, let's just call it 0. I think he was plus minus 3, whatever, to now plus 54. Chase Elliott is minus 40 with 4 races to go. You're telling me he can't make up 40 points in 4 races?
He's racing that guy that you're talking about who's had a couple good weeks. He's racing that guy and Michael McDowell.
Oh, so you're 9 in front.
He's not racing.
2 of them are in, not 1.
I understand, but Chase has to. The 17, 18, and 19 guy does not really matter for Chase. He's racing the cut line, right? So he's racing McDowell and Bubba.
Oh, boy.
So you're
who went out
saying
front?
that Chase Elliott can't make up 40 points on McDowell in the next 4 races?
I'm not saying he can't.
So I went the
but
wrong way.
McDowell's three strongest tracks, or two road courses and a super speedway are coming up in the final.
Breaking news: Chase Elliott's good on fucking road courses. What are you talking about? He's going to point them, and he's going to get in on points. You want to give it to me?
This is, I was going to say, this is the Jared Allen I told you so.
I know.
Episode.
No, I'm saying
Okay.
It's the I told you so, but it ain't I.
It sucks
it's
for you. It sucks for you. You were always right for like 10 days.
Hey, you're always right till you're wrong. We have a special guest, the winner of the Verizon 200 at Indy, Michael McDowell. Welcome, Michael. I love this because now you can defend yourself in person and defend it with this nice, beautiful trophy here in front of us. Man, how's that feel?
Oh, it's amazing. I'm not so worried about the defending myself.
I done teamed up.
To have a car that
with
good.
The communists.
I don't think in my
so
career.
So we're trying to
Cup
stave
Series
off
I've ever
Japan
had a car
now.
that good. And so
that makes
go
sense.
out there and do it and execute it and
Come
get
think
it
about
done.
it, there's a whole world war about to
pop off. It's a day that we'll remember forever. It's just what you dream of.
Winning the Daytona 500, just a few years ago. Now here you are with the Indy Brick. I wouldn't know. I've never won this race at Indy. It's the one that chaps me the most in my career, actually. So I'm very jealous of that. But it's, when we talked about for the last few weeks, who's going to get in? I come in,
man, we
you
need
see
to
this
be
sheet
united,
of paper, Travis writes down, and it's got the bubble, and
we can get France up out
who's
here
in
too.
contention and whatnot. That's where we saw on social media the debate between me and Jared on who's going to get it. Oh, I know you just can't wait. I know you can't wait. So let's just say I am a numbers person.
Yes, you are.
I love percentages, knowing
I ain't
my
even
odds
pick your
at
nine
all
in front,
times.
which
And
is
so
weird.
I like to put myself in the most favorable odds situation, which is why I said, "What? Chase Elliott can't make up points? You guys have got to be kidding me!"
Yeah,
right?
The only reason I respond, because you see, I'm
love
not very
it.
active on social media. The only reason I respond is because I know you're a numbers guy, right? And we've talked about this before, like with Daytona, is if you're not a
China
student of the
demands
sport, and you're not paying
subjugation.
attention, you're not going to win at this level. Like, you got to do the work, right? So
Yep.
I'm a numbers guy too, and statistic guy, and I'm like, hey, maybe he just doesn't know the numbers. Like, we're crushing it
I
in
was
the
not
next
informed,
gen
for
era
sure.
of road courses. So, I knew Chase Elliott is the best road course racer there is in our sport. You can't deny that. He's got like 7 wins in the last 5 years, right? So statistically, he is the best.
Don't
and I
hate.
know
Subjugate.
that. He could win any given weekend. He could have won this weekend. I know that too.
Could win next.
He could win the next one. And
Oh, we
so
gotta,
it was
get
not
it
that. It was
first.
like, if he wins, I'm still going to run 5th. He's not going to get
That's right.
40 points on me. He might get 15. He might get 20. But
Sorry,
there's no
allies.
way he's going to get
But
40.
what I was including was Michigan.
Yeah.
Now Talladega, I'm going to give you the nod on that one. I mean Daytona. You're in my mind. You're a top 5 super speedway racer. You're really good.
Do you have a bulletin board in the shop that you had Denny's tweets?
Oh, that's cool because
No.
they are allies. We can
Like I
see their
said,
military
I'm
movements.
not super active on
He
social
called the
media.
border.
I
Bro,
just
the
like
communist China
engaging
got
in this one particularly.
14
And I'll be honest with
little
you, like,
dudes.
there's certain things that get me fired up. You don't see it a lot, you don't hear it a lot, but 2 things that fired
Oh, they
me
got
up over the
troops.
last month and a half is SVG
Bro, they
kicking our
marching
butts
troops
in
through
Chicago.
our lands,
That
they just got
frustrated
'em
me,
in
man.
our
That should
lands.
never happen. And that made me mad enough to go to work. Like, I'm going to figure it out. Like, I got to be better. This is unacceptable. Not taking away what he did. What he did was nothing short of miraculous. I mean, unbelievable. But it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And so that fired me up. And then this was just a little extra fuel to the fire, right? Like, man, you're not paying attention. I'm going to wax them is what I felt like saying, right? But that's just not me personally, but that's what I feel inside. So I'm just glad that it all worked out, man, because you can want it all you want, but if you don't have the stuff to do it, if you don't have the car to do it, if you don't have the pit stops to do it, it's just talk, right? And so I think speed-wise, we felt good that we were going to be in contention, but execution-wise is something that we've had to get better at.
Yeah.
And myself included, man. So
Anti-tank
many
don't sound
times
so
I've given
bad.
up good finishes, speeding on pit road, speeding getting to pit road, or whatever. Over the wall too soon, just dumb stuff, pit lane violation, like all those things. You just can't have it. in these races and recover from it. And so it was fun to execute.
We have a guest surprise appearance.
What are you doing here?
Detrimental. I got an action that's detrimental. Okay.
Joe Gibbs just walked in. Hi, Joe.
What's happening?
I think I'm gonna
Take a seat.
I think I'm gonna slide over here, Coach. You're gonna take this spot.
What do you got for me?
Pit stops. I was in this morning.
Well, oddly enough,
Perfect.
Joe's just handing me some pit stop data.
You'll see that the 11 was really
Yeah, I
consistent.
was happy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought my team did great all day long. You
They
know,
did, yeah.
Afterwards I mentioned that this is just a game of millimeters.
Yep.
Thousandths of an inch, and if things don't just
I like infantry.
go on perfectly, these guys
That's
have
the
muscle
meat and
memory.
potatoes.
That I hit the lug for a certain amount of time, and if there's just a little hitch or whatever,
What?
it's not tight. But our pit crew I thought did a phenomenal job all race long. They were on it, no doubt about it. This is actually the very first loose wheel that I've had in next gen. So
Surely you didn't just pop in the door here to talk about a bad pit stop.
No, I kind of want to talk about the future. Okay. So it seems like we've been pretty good for each other for a long period of time. Now, I go all the way back. I think it's one of the great sports stories.
I got troops everywhere.
And I always tell a little
There's no place I
story
don't
when
got
I'm
troops.
talking about Denny. I walked out of a restaurant in Manassas, Virginia, roughly 20 years ago. And there was a kid standing there. Looked like he was about 11 or 12. And he goes, "Hey, Coach, can you sign this autograph?" So he said, "Coach." I figured he's a football fan. And I took his hat, signed it, and his dad took a picture, and we still got the picture. And I handed it back to him. And when I turned to leave, he goes, "I'm going to drive for you someday." He goes, just like that. Kids say that to you because you got a race team and everything. He said, I pat him on the head. I turn around and leave, and it was Denny Hamlin. And I always, when I tell that story and Denny's around, I always tell him, "You didn't tell me I was going to have to pay you $1 million to drive for me." So that's my story. I tell that all the time in our hospitalities, but people get a kick out of it. But it's true, and it's kind of interesting how that all took place. JD goes up, wanting to buy some late model stuff, finds you, puts you in a test.
Dang, the
puts you in
Marco
a
Polo
truck,
Bridge
puts you in a
incident?
Xfinity Xfinity
Launching attack.
And gosh, it's been great for us.
In Beijing.
And really, you've helped us build our race team.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's you've been right more times than not. Every time you give advice, you usually give sound advice. When I started this race team a long time ago, a few years ago, you're like, "Are you sure?" Because the drivers sure get the best end of this deal. And I've quickly realized, yes,
Bro,
the drivers definitely
you
get the
can't sit
best end
back.
of this deal. But yeah, it's been a great relationship. I see a contract here in front of me.
It's beef.
I'm going to sign that contract.
I know they did that incident.
In that 11 Camry for years to come. So thank you for everything that you do for me. Obviously, it was belief that you had in myself and JD, and the belief that he had in myself to keep this
How are we
going.
looking on
so
these tanks?
Certainly, the relationship between us has been really, really strong. You guys kind of took over when my dad. There's a great poster out there in my garage, and it's me and JD sitting on a wall for my very first Daytona 500. My dad's in the foreground, and that was kind of the passing of the torch, right?
Oh,
and
dang,
JD's
we
like,
had
I got him
wall.
from here. So my parents really were a big part of making huge sacrifices for me to get to this point. But then now it's on Joe Gibbs Racing, and they kind of took over.
The
as
Chinese
my
is
one
here. Oh, bro, they got
Post-race
tanks.
reaction from the fans. Would you?
Of course,
your
they got
video,
tanks.
Seemed to go pretty viral this past 24 hours. What'd you make of
Yeah,
that?
Jared did a good job with that edit for
Hey.
sure. He did great.
Here
You
we
know,
go, bros.
this just goes right into my wheelhouse. I don't think
The Chinese
people
is here.
knew that I love banter. I love talking. I do. And now I'm just running well enough where I can back it up. So
I
mean,
this
the
I'm
Japanese
feeding
is
off
here.
of it.
It's great because I get to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I'm feeding off of it because I'm proving so many people wrong, and it's like
Kind of
all I
unorganized
want
right
to do
now,
at
but
this
we just gonna
point
go with
is,
it.
if
We
you
should-
root
probably
against
shouldn't have
me,
this
I just
dude
wanna
out
make
there.
These next 7 weeks a living hell for you. I do. I want to live in the misery that of you watching us run well. Like right now, am I feeding into it, the villain stuff? Absolutely, 100%. Because I've got some confidence. Our team is running well, and it just seems like now, Jared has done some work on social media that's fed these people and the booze, and like you just keep they're getting louder and they're getting more, but we're also getting more cheers than ever. So it's like
it's been a fun case study because these pictures of you doing a burnout or anything on the front stretch, and then the fans behind, right? It's cool to see the reaction. And the last 2 weeks, the Darlington Xfinity win and then the Pocono win.
It's all wrong.
Middle fingers galore, right? But there's not that at Bristol. There's more like, woohoo, Denny won, or I acknowledge that Denny won and just kicked everyone's ass.
Well, what I've noticed on social media is that many people that I see in the comments are like, I just boo because the person next to me is doing it.
So that's what my theory is. You don't have any more haters. The haters are just more loud, but you are bringing in more fans of you. If that makes sense.
I just think you're taking that neutral crowd that really didn't care, and you're either pulling more of them this way or you're pushing more of them that way. And it doesn't matter which way you're pushing or pulling them, it's good.
This is from the bottom of my heart truth. Is that I'm not trying to get more fans, but I love the back and forth. I mean, you've been around me. Anybody that plays in my basketball league or golf league, I love talking.
Going on offense, baby.
I just do. It's fun for me, and it's to me. There's a mental aspect of it that I'm just self-motivating myself through doing it, and it continues to just make me better, right? And so, I don't know. I'm just in a good spot right now, and it's been fun. This whole thing's been fun, and certainly this kind of all started around kind of the Pocono thing with Larson, but it's taken on a mind of its own at this point, and we're just having fun with it. Hopefully, we can just keep it going, right? Because obviously, the first thing someone that isn't rooting for you do, they're just waiting for 1 week to for you to not do well. So they'll say, see, I told you
Dang,
you
they
suck.
busting through.
And but you don't. Where are you at? I don't see you.
Bro, we get dominated by Japan right now.
They've got the heat saved in their traps already.
Ready to press,
That's
right?
my speed on.
But hey, I deserve it because I'm not afraid to tell them.
I was letting it run
right?
so I could see.
Travis,
it's fun.
I'm rooting for a championship so hard. Just the social
now
ideas that are out there.
Make a border
of what can be done would be so much fun.
Jared, there's
we could
so
fix
much work
this
to be done. It's
not for me.
I know.
I'm just
better